Good morning, YouTube. Matt M. Roy back again. Back to another vlog video for today. It is, let's see, this is Tuesday, the 13th, I think, of June 2016. And, yeah, I'm sorry I didn't do a video yesterday. I was just super busy. Basically, we spent most of the day putting doing two different things. One, putting the radio in my car, which I will show you guys before I get out. And two, we were doing oil changes on pretty much every single car we had. We didn't even get totally done because Dad, after I did the oil changes, I went in and started working on some computers. He went and started doing the brakes on Mom's car, finished those up maybe around 3 o'clock. We were going to go ahead and take her car over to that local shop, Dillinger's, to get inspected. But like I said, it was right around 3 o'clock, and when I called them, they said it was like an hour and a half wait. So we just didn't want to do it. Neither of us were up for sitting around that place for an hour and a half. So we decided to go ahead and hold off for another day. And then right around 4 o'clock, I had to go over a buddy of mine's house. He threw his back out, so my dad, who was a former massage therapist, went over to help him out, and I was watching his kid while Dad was doing that. And then we didn't wind up getting home till close to 6 o'clock, had dinner, and then it was pretty much bedtime. There was not much else I could do. So yeah, it happens, you know, certain days there really isn't much time for vlogging, though today I'm going to try to do at least a short vlog. I am fairly busy today. Heading over to the thrift store right now. It's sale day, as most of you guys know that watch this channel for any length of time. Not really expecting too much. They really didn't have a lot out yesterday, and I noticed that the back room, because this past weekend was kind of filled up. This was basically graduation weekend for most of the high schools, and what winds up happening is people don't do the garage sales, and they just go ahead and ship and basically just send all their garage sale fodder to the thrift store. So they're kind of bogged down back there, and I'm pretty sure it's going to take them till at least Thursday, maybe even Friday, to put some more electronics out. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good. I had some allergy problems last night, really bad, and apparently I'm not the only one. A couple of the people at the thrift store are having some major problems with their allergies too. And it always seems to happen, for me anyway, when the weather gets really hot. You start getting all the flowers blooming. You have pretty much a mixture of all different kinds of allergens. And I finally got my Auric XL air purifier working again. I don't think I told you guys about that. About 2 days ago, it was constantly popping. I know I've talked about this before. Basically, it has what's called a Truman cell in there. And when a big piece of dust goes in, it's supposed to zap it and actually burn it. Well, mine was just constantly like locked into that mode. You just constantly hear like pop. And you could actually see the sparks of it trying to clean non-existent dust. It was odd because when I pulled the Truman cell out, it wasn't even that dirty. So I read online, and people had a few recommendations. One thing that they said was to take the cell out and clean it like you normally would. Basically fill up the sink with a little bit of soapy water, let it soak for about 5 minutes, which is the way you're supposed to do it. And basically what they said to do, instead of putting it right back in, is wait a couple of days, because sometimes water will actually get trapped in little crevices there, and that can cause the popping sound. Well, I did. I let it sit for about 2 days. I really let it dry. I was even thinking of using the air compressor and blowing it out, but they have the electrical current flows through these little tiny wires that are really brittle, and I was afraid I'd break one. So I just waited 2 days, made sure it was totally dry, put it back in. I pushed and held the reset button on it, and now it works fine. So for those of you guys that have the Auric XL air purifiers like I have, that's a little trick if it's acting up like mine was, to get them working again. I don't know if it's going to do it again. I know that a lot of the problem is probably because my room is extremely dusty. It's just a fact of life when you have a lot of computers like I do in one room. Not to mention the fact my room's over the garage. It's like a double whammy. So there's really no way to prevent dust from getting in. I literally have to dust my room every couple of days. If not, I have like inch thick of dust built up on everything. So like I say always, it is what it is. There's really nothing you can do to prevent that. And the Org XL air purifier really does a good job. I really don't have many complaints about it. Like I said, other than the fact that sometimes it gets caught into that popping loop where it basically just thinks that there's all this dust coming through and there really isn't. Well, I'm almost at the thrift store. I need to take another sip of coffee because my mouth is very dry today. It's good coffee. I ran out of the Big Cafe cups last night. These are the Maxwell House Originals. They're pretty good, but the only problem I find with the Maxwell House is, depending on which Keurig I use, it can taste burnt. If I use them on the Keurig, the 1.0 upstairs, the older one, I think it brews it a little bit too high. I might need to adjust the temperature down, and it actually scorches the grounds and actually makes the coffee taste a little bit burnt. Now, if I brew it downstairs in the Keurig 2.0, the K400, it's fine. Tastes absolutely fine. And I've always been a big fan of Maxwell House. My grandparents on my dad's side were French, and that's what they drank. They're French Canadian, and that's what they drank pretty much all the time. And when I was young, you know, my grandfather passed away when I was about 15, my dad's dad. My dad's mom passed away a few years after that. But I still remember going up there to Canada where they lived and basically visiting them and drinking Maxwell House coffee, because we weren't big coffee drinkers at our house ever. I mean, my dad would occasionally have an instant cup. He doesn't really care. He still drinks in Nescafe, the instant ice crystals, the freeze-dried coffee. I can't. I've tried it. I mean, it's okay in a pinch. Like if when my Keurig broke down, when I only had one of them, it was fine. But I'm too spoiled now. I'm used to having my good, freshly brewed cup of coffee. I'm gonna go ahead and move you guys over. I'm gonna show you the radio real quick, and then we'll head into the thrift store. Talk to you in a minute. Guys, so here is the radio. It's a Pioneer. It's a 2013 model. I'm not actually going to play any music because, as you guys know, YouTube is such a stickler with copyright infringement. It was fairly simple to put in. Basically, I had to pull out the old radio. We had 3 wiring harness in my case because this was the premium sound system originally in here, and that was inherently where the problem was. We hooked up all the wires, we hooked up the accessory, the constant, and all the speakers, and then there were 2 RCA plugs that went into the second plug back there, and that was supposed to go to the amp. Well, I didn't realize at first that you actually have to plug the power amp, in other words, the power on and the ground for the amp, up here as well, because in my case the amp is in the trunk and it already has its own supplied power. But to actually initiate the amp when the radio turns on, I had to plug in the wires up front here. Basically what we did was just splice them into the constant, I'm sorry, not the constant, the power, the red wire for the main plug, and everything works fine now. As you can see, it's got the regular CD player up here. This does play MP3s and Windows Media Discs. This is really cool. Right here, I haven't really used this yet. You open this little flap and there's a USB port, so I could take a USB thumb drive, load it up with hours and hours of music, and just plug it right in here, and I'd be good to go. It also has the plug here for auxiliary in for like an MP3 player, an iPod, even tablets, and it does have Bluetooth. Now this was kind of the tricky part. I'm like, where do I put the microphone? Because in my car it's very hard to wire anything behind here because everything is so tight. What we finally decided to do, and this was my idea, there's a little storage pocket here. I basically took the wire, which is plugged into the back of the radio, and this is the microphone, and I just kind of wedged it in here, and that's where the microphone sits. So now, because this is Bluetooth enabled, not only can I beam music from my phone to the radio, but I can go ahead and answer my phone as well. So if somebody calls me on the go, all I have to do is, on the remote here, push... Let's see if this will pick it up. Push this button here to answer the call, and they can hear me via that little microphone. So I'm pretty impressed. I really do like this radio. It has a really good sound, and thankfully, it works well with the factory amp, because I really wasn't looking forward to wiring a new amplifier into this. So everything is installed. It even looks pretty good. Like I said, this bracket here was an eBay find, and it fit just fine. Now, bear in mind, it was a little bit of a bear to get in initially. I had to actually pry up under here to push it in all the way, because this actually, unlike the factory factory unit, which attaches on either side, there's two little holes where you actually push in, and the bracket braces against this side here and this side here. This particular bracket attaches in the bottom, so that was a little bit of a chore, but once we got it in, it fit just fine. Alright guys, well, I just left the thrift store, and the last few days I've been noticing they've had a lot of construction equipment over here, and they actually started with it over there. And I was wondering what the heck they were going to do. Take a look at this, guys. They're actually re-stuccoing the Burger King, which I'm really surprised, because this Burger King's only a few years old. They're actually putting up a whole new facade on there. Very, very interesting. It was kind of getting dirty back here. I kind of wonder if there was maybe a structural problem, because on the surface of it, it looked just fine. I mean, other than being a little bit dirty. So let's walk around real quick, see what they're actually doing. Looks like they're putting on a whole new entrance area here. Be kind of interesting to see what this looks like when it's done. So yeah, I'll give you guys periodic updates. We'll see what happens. I'll check back with them tomorrow. That was funny, guys. One of the workmen started kind of yelling at me, saw I was taking a video, or maybe even thought I was just taking some pictures. He's like, "Hey, what you doing?" He had like a real thick Mexican accent. That was hilarious, and I just kind of walked away and wouldn't get in the middle of that. People are so funny about pictures or videos or anything nowadays. It's really amazing. That's why I don't really necessarily like to film out in public too much, because I always get all these dirty looks. So like, "Hey, what are you doing? Why do you have your camera out?" I'll never forget this one time. I was in Military Circle Mall, and I was really surprised because one of the other YouTube users, Dan Bell, who does the Dead Mall series, actually went in there and filmed the entire mall a couple of weeks ago. Well, about a year ago, I tried to do the same thing, and I was almost kicked out of the mall. I was filming, and this really jerky guy came up to me, and he saw that I was holding the camera. I didn't even specifically looking at him. Came up to me and just started yelling. He's like, "Are you filming? You're not allowed to do that in here. You got to go ahead and disengage doing that right now." And that's exactly what he said. And I'm like, "Dude, chill." And he's like, security, come over here." Kind of like that Bon Qui Qui skit from Mad TV. It's exactly, it was like, security. And the security guard came over, and he's like, you gotta put that away. And I said, okay. He actually walked me over to a sign, and sure enough, one of the rules there was not allowed to film. So I said, okay. So I put the phone away, and I kid you not, the whole time I was in that mall, I had security shadowing me. It wasn't the same guy. Pretty much, he would walk with me behind me for a few minutes. He would disengage. Then another security guard would come up and start walking behind me. It made me feel really uncomfortable. But you know what? It was my fault. I didn't read the rules, and I didn't know it at the time. So I'm just kind of curious if they changed it. If any of you guys go down to Military Circle Mall, which is in Norfolk, and if they've changed the rules now and they do allow filming, I'd love to go back and actually finish what I started, because it's a very interesting mall. It was built in the late 60s. In its heyday, was very successful. Now, pretty much almost all the anchor stores are gone. Sears closed about 5 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, Penny's closed, and now Macy's just closed. So the only store there, and you could maybe kind of consider an anchor, is Ross Dress for Life, which, even though it's a larger store, I don't know if I would technically call it an anchor store. It's really a shame. The rest of the mall is definitely falling into disrepair. The hotel there closed about 5-6 years ago. They were supposed to revitalize it. That never happened. If you go through the mall now, at least the last time I was there, and this, bear in mind, this is when Macy's was still open, but Penny's was closed. I would say they were at maybe about 50% occupancy. I know now it's down to about 35 to 40%. There are certain corridors, like near the Macy's and towards the middle of the mall, where it is still pretty active, but when you start heading towards the food court area, where the movie theater is and where the hotel was, it's just pretty much dead. There's hardly any people there at all, and it is really sad. And it's kind of a product of its environment, because unfortunately that area has seen a marked decline recently. There's been a lot of gang related issues. There was even a shooting in that mall back a few years back. So unfortunately, when malls die, that's usually the cause. Usually their clientele just goes downhill. You get a lot of very shady people in there that do a lot of very, very bad things, and it's really unfortunate. I don't see much of a chance for that mall in the future. I know that it's changed hands quite a few times over the years. I'm not even sure who owns it now. But like I said, when a mall gets to that point where it has a bad reputation, all the anchor stores are gone, there's really not much hope for it. And that's what makes me fearful of our mall, Chesapeake Square. Because we're losing anchor stores left and right. Our Sears closed a few years back. Our Macy's just closed. And I heard that our Penny's may be closing too next year. And if that's true, that only leaves Burlington and Target. Bear in mind, this is a mall that used to have 6 anchor stores. We used to have Sears, Macy's, Dillard's, Target. See, Sears, Macy's, Dillard's, Target. Actually, it was 2 Dillard's. I'm sorry, it was 2 Dillard's there for a while. So, see, what am I missing here? I know I'm missing something. Oh, yeah, I used to have Montgomery Ward's years ago. So, I mean, this thing used to have 6 anchor stores, and now we are down to 3 right now, and I don't think it's going to last much longer than that. And the reason is, when we had Dillard's, Dillard's actually encompassed 2 stores. We had the men's Dillard's and the female Dillard's. So, you know, guys, it really saddens me where the world's going to, especially when it comes to malls. Because malls, even though they're really becoming passé, are still a good idea, especially down here in the South, where the temperature just, dips, it can dip down cold in the winter. I mean, we can see some 20, 30 degree temperatures in winter, but the main problem is in the summer, we can see 90, 100 degree temperatures, and it's beneficial for us to shop in malls versus going to just like strip malls, where we have to go outside, we have to get into the car, hot car, we got to drive, from one store to another, and if we can walk, you're basically walking outside. So it's just a sign of the times, but in my opinion, kind of a sad sign of the times. Well, I'm almost to my friend's house. I got to do some more computer work again, and then I'm going to head home. I did find one thing at the thrift store. Just a basic 17-inch Dell monitor. Probably not even going to bother doing a video about it. Only reason I picked it up is it was literally $6 with the 25% off. I will talk to you guys in a little bit. All right, guys. Well, just a quick update. The Monte Carlo is going. It's just been sold, so yeah, you won't be seeing this car anymore. Dad's just kind of cleaning everything out. It's unfortunate, but you know what? We'll get other things. All right. Sorry about that. There was just way too much going on out there. I didn't want to film for any length of time. But yeah, I'm going to kind of miss it. That was a pretty cool car. My first car was a Monte Carlo, so I really kind of liked that. But like I said, he'll find something else. I'm sure we'll have another project here sooner or later. On another note, we're going to have to take the radio out again, because I just realized that the Bluetooth microphone is not working. Now, I don't know if it's because it came disconnected or it didn't work to begin with. It may just be faulty. I don't really care that much, because more likely than not, I'm not actually going to use my Bluetooth radio to talk to people. Mainly, I just wanted it to play the audio, to basically beam the audio from my phone to the radio, and that part works perfectly. No problems at all. So I may not get to it today. It might be a couple of weeks. I'll take the head unit out again and see if maybe the cable came loose or something. But once again, I'm not too worried about it at this point. Well, I'm just going to enjoy this beautiful day out, and I was in mistake before. It's actually the 14th today, so I was one day off, and of course, because I'm filming with my Samsung Galaxy S7, my cell phone, the Edge, I could not tell you exactly what day it was, so it is the 14th of June, so I'm going to enjoy the rest of this beautiful day, and I will talk to you a little bit later. Alright guys, well, I'm back in my room. I'm going to finish the vlog off here, munching on some Juji fruits. I don't know if you guys remember these from the episode of Seinfeld, where Elaine was supposed to visit her sick friend in the hospital, and she got the message of the movie theaters, and before she left, she stopped at the concessions counter, buy some Juji fruits, and yeah, that was one of my favorite episodes. I will say this, I've never had them before, they really stick to your teeth like crazy, so I don't think I'm going to be buying these again for sure. But one thing I want to show you guys is this computer that I'm working on. Alright guys, this is one I picked up the other day. It's some kind of Dell. I haven't even really looked at the, I know it's an Inspire. I think it might be just called a 1. Let me take a look at the back here and see if I can get an actual model number here. Let's see, this is a... that's a service tag number. It doesn't actually have a model number on it, guys. I kind of had a hard time trying to figure that out yesterday, but it's got a Core 2 Duo in it. I just ran D-Band, you know, Derek's Boot and Nuke, for those of you that are familiar with the program. It's got 2 hard drives in it. It came with a 720 gigabyte, and I added a 320, so it roughly has about 1.1 terabytes of hard drive space now. I'm going to go ahead and restart the computer. I'll go ahead and put it into the BIOS so you guys can see what it is. I'm going to fix this computer up. Don't know who this is actually going to go to, but definitely going to install Windows on it. And before you say yes, it is probably going to contain Windows 10. I know that's become a big bugaboo on my channel. Well, for those of you guys that don't like it, once again, I'm sorry. That's just my operating system of choice, and also the people that I build systems for. This is an Inspiron 545S, built around 2009. It's rocking a Core 2 Duo E7400, 2.8 gigahertz processor, so not too bad. Got 3 megabytes of level 2 cache. Fairly typical for the time, though some of the higher end ones I believe had 4, and a few of them even had 8 megabytes of level 2 cache, but that was kind of rare. I think those were only the Xeon processors. It does use DDR2. Right now it's got 6 gigabytes. It maxes out at 8, but I'll probably just leave the 6 in there because I don't have any extra slots at the moment, or any extra RAM for that matter. And you can see right there, it's a 750 gigabyte Seagate drive and a 250 gigabyte, or actually it's a 320 gigabyte Hitachi drive. I don't know why it shows as like a 250 there, but definitely is a 320. It's got a dual layer DVD burner, which is actually right here. It's kind of cool how they have it. It's very sleek looking. Everything's kind of hidden. Go ahead and pull off the ultimate boot disk because I don't want it to boot from that. That's where the DVD drive is, and to get to the memory card reader, you actually push this button here, and it's not even electronic. It's just like a little little tab that pushes the tray down. And you can see right there you have your 12-in-1 memory card reader. So yeah, fairly interesting system. I'll probably pair it with this monitor. If any of you guys are interested, just send me a personal message. Guys, well, I'm getting pretty tired. I want to maybe just relax for the rest of the day. It's not that late, but I did a lot for one day. So I'm going to end the vlog here. I hope you guys really enjoyed this today. Please remember to like and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day, everybody.